Hi, welcome to Kiss Me, where we dive into all of our favorite rom-coms. I'm Addie H, and today I'll be dishing about The Proposal, released in 2009. Here at Kiss Me, I run through the plot, highlight fun things you probably didn't know about the movie.
A very special behind-the-scenes look.
And today, debuting for its first time, rapid goof-ups mistakes in the movie.
Put it on that internet site. What was it?
YouTube?
Exactly.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to keep the Kiss Me's smooching along. The plot. Meet Andrew Paxton, played by Deb Poole. Ryan Reynolds. The assistant for one of the most feared publishing editors of New York, Margaret Tate, played by Sandra Bullock. Andrew has been unhappily working with Margaret for the past 3 years. Soon finds himself blackmailed by her in order to be promoted to an editor.
So I blackmailed him.
The blackmail? To pretend that he is engaged and getting married to Margaret, as Margaret's visa expired and is facing deportation.
Deported?
Back to Canada.
I'm from Canada, for Christ's sake.
To fool U.S. immigration that they are a couple.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Margaret invites herself to Andrew's trip home to Sitka, Alaska to celebrate his Grandma Annie's, aka Gammy's, who is played by Betty White, 90th birthday.
You know
when
that.
Betty White says she wants a cup of coffee, you get her a cup of coffee.
Gammy and Andrew's mother, Grace Paxton, played by Mary Steenburgen, are accepting of the engagement, convinces them to do an impromptu wedding. Andrew's father, Joe Paxton, played by Craig T. Nelson, is suspicious and invites immigration official Mr. Gilbertson to the island. The pressure is on to pull off and save Margaret from immigration, and chaos and comedy ensues. While the wedding doesn't actually happen,
This was a business deal, and you held up your end, but now the deal is off.
true love does prevail, with an ultimate real engagement,
Marry me, because I'd like to date you.
and the hope that Margaret will actually not be deported and will start her new profound relationship with Andrew.
Let's do it.
Show me the money. Directed by Anne Fletcher, think Step Up, 27 Dresses, and upcoming Hocus Pocus 2. The movie was made for $40 million and grossed $317 million, claiming its stake as the highest grossing rom-com of 2009. Bullock jokingly attributed the film's success to her being naked. If you're naked and you're trying to be sexy, you don't really make as much money as if you're naked and you're funny. She referenced Will Ferrell's success and how he drops his pants in most films. Hey, she actually might be onto something. Bullock exclaimed that she was going to do that from now on. Action film. All naked. Well, the Lost City action rom-com that debuted in 2022 defaulted to a sequin dress. The Naked Ballet. The scene where Margaret stumbles on Andrew was actually a tricky choreographed dance
Water ballet, fine water ballet. He and I just need to be in the Olympics.
to avoid landing on something. The clothes set with minimal makeup staff, sticking flesh-colored stickers on certain body parts and hair strategically placed to cover Bullock's nipples. 12 takes were done over 3 days, since naughty bits kept popping out. Reynolds apparently flashed everyone with the director shouting, "Ryan, we can see your ball sack," with everyone spinning around to see if they can find a monitor to check it out. Bullock resisted the temptation to look down, but explained to the director that there may be a better way to present that information in the future. The nerve-wracking scene became less distressing, especially for Reynolds. He quoted, "You fall into the ground and I would always know something popped out wrong because the cameraman would go, 'Oh, by the 4th hour I abandoned the fig leaf or whatever the hell they gave me, and I was just throwing caution and other things into the wind.'" No stunt doubles or body prosthetics were used in the making of this film. Crafty Casting. The role of Margaret was initially offered to Julia Roberts, who turned it down due to pay disputes.
But I have all of this.
The Proposal was actually the second movie in the same year where Julia Roberts was offered a leading role and turned it down, with the role going to Bullock.
Big mistake. Big. Huge.
The other movie was The Blind Side, where Bullock won an Oscar for Best Actress. Bullock happily accepted the Proposal movie, stating that it was one of the funniest scripts she has read in a long time, and the characters seemed fun to play. While Bullock was anxious to play Margaret, she claimed it was wonderful because for 3 months she could be a bitch,
You poisonous bitch!
and no one could question her because she was in character.
Myself, I tapped into myself. Everyone has the bitch within.
Why aren't you taking notes?
Casting Ryan Reynolds as her co-star also squashed any reservations Bullock had for the film. Bullock and Reynolds shared a decade-old friendship that really helped with the on-screen chemistry, such that the typical pre-production get-to-know-you activities were actually all cancelled.
Canceled the whole thing because it was just fireworks were there from the first 45 seconds.
Here's a fun fact. Bullock actually likes playing characters where she interrupts her own wedding.
Sorry.
This is the second film, with the first being
I object.
While You're Sleeping, released in 1995. Betty White also almost turned down her role because filming would require her to spend 10 weeks away from her golden retriever. She quoted, My beautiful baby is a career change guide dog. He had a bum knee, so he couldn't be sent as a guide dog. So I got him, and he's my heart. Fortunately, White was able to work out filming and being with her dog. But White actually got to spend a lot of time with the family dog Kevin.
You like that?
Kevin was played by 4 American Eskimo puppies named Flurry, Sika, Nanu, and Winter. It's true what they say, Betty White was an American national treasure.
Insist!
Besides being a joy to work with,
An adorable, sweet old lady.
White was the most popular on set. On Betty's last day, she addressed the crew saying, "I want everyone to know that this is the most fun I've ever had on a film set." And everyone was a complete mess. Oh, Canada. We have a Canadian playing an American playing a Canadian. Do you know how to spot a true Canadian?
Canada!
Ask them to say this. Within the movie, Bullock says she'll go back to
Toronto with
pronouncing the second T.
I have to go to Toronto.
Unless they're thinking about the proper pronunciation, people from Toronto typically pronounce Toronto as Toronto.
Toronto. You got it! There's no T? No. But it's right there.
Reynolds also admitted he had minimal influence on Bullock on how to play a Canadian.
Yeah, I gave her as many tips as I could on being a good Canadian, but she's not into skating lessons.
Alaska? Andrew's family, the Paxtons, live in
Sitka.
a town and borough of about 8,500 people in southeast Alaska.
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 But the location was actually on Boston's North Shore, Lockport, Massachusetts, a working fishing lobster village. Here you can see Lockport's icon, motif number 1, the famous red shack known for being a subject of many famous painters and photographers' work. And the Alaskan snow-capped mountains? You guessed it, they were added in digitally.
You have a problem with that?
Film was done off-season in April to avoid the tourists. But why fictionally base the movie in Sitka?
What?
Andrew's hometown may seem random, but it was not. Scriptwriter Pete Chiarelli worked in Sitka, Alaska, so he knew a lot about it there, and that all played into how they picked Sitka and why they went there. Do you want to hear a slightly eerie fact?
No.
Ryan Reynolds' character's last name is Paxton, and the Paxtons basically owned the town in the movie.
What does that mean?
You heard me.
But in real life, from 2018 to 2020, the mayor of Sitka, his name is Gary Paxton. It takes 2 to make things go right. It takes 2 to make it. Blooming bond between Andrew and Margaret is over raw bass and DJ EZ Rock's 80s rap classic, It Takes 2.
It takes 2 to make a thing go right.
Bullock originally wanted Sugar Hill Gang Rapper's Delight because she knew all the words.
they up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie the beat.
But once she realized it has been used in another film, the director suggested It Takes 2, and the rest is history.
Give me some beats, yo.
The dances. Anne Fletcher, the director, is actually a talented dancer. She helped choreograph 2 of the funniest scenes and dances in the movie, which Bullock and Betty White had a fantastic time filming. The boat toss. Things got a little dicey on set when Bullock ends up in the water. Turns out she wasn't given any prior boating driving lessons. The stunt coordinator gave her directions: go down the ladder, jump on the boat, do a burnout around the corner, and then go. When Bullock ended up freezing in the water, she went into hypothermia and couldn't breathe. So now on to our rapid fire goof ups. A few of our favorite oops mistakes for you to catch next time you were watching The Proposal.
This is like an Easter egg, huh?
The Starbucks run when Andrew is running with the Starbucks lattes in the beginning of the film. Water can actually be seen spilling out of one of the cups as he enters the building. Don't we all like paying for overpriced water in Starbucks cups? During the scene where Andrew makes Margaret propose to him on the sidewalk,
Ask me nicely to marry you.
a girl in a green sweater walks past them in the same direction 3 separate times. In the immigration office where Mr. Gilbertson is reviewing Margaret's case in a plain manila envelope, turns it into a much darker folder. I always knew that immigration agents have special powers. The disappearing blanket. Andrew is sleeping on the floor on top of a blanket, and then poof! The blanket is gone and he's sleeping on the carpet. Did you catch this error in the storyline? When Margaret tells the proposal story at the start of the movie, she explains how her and Andrew were about to celebrate their first anniversary when he proposed.
Celebrate our first anniversary together. And I knew that he'd been itching to ask me to marry him.
But when Andrew speaks to his father and Mr. Gilbertson later, he explains that they had only been dating for 6 months.
I've been working for Margaret Tate for 3 years. 6 months ago, we started dating.
The film also defies Newton's law of motion. Margaret falls out of the boat to the left, but the boat turned to the left, so the natural reaction would have been Margaret being thrown to the right. Sorry, Newton. Just consider that movie magic.
Wow!
And that's a wrap.
Do it again from the top. I was praying for cut.
Show us some love. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tag that alert bell to dive into further awkward but sweet encounters of our favorite rom-coms. Also pop in your suggestions of which movies are your favorites. Until then, I'm Andy H, and this is Kiss Me. Pucker up.
So sorry.
That's okay. Wash and wear.